Well, in the first place, thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm extremely happy to be here today in my old alma mater. So I've been asked to tell you about how it was for me to do a PhD at Manchester and how it affected my further career. So where I am, first of all, where I am right now, I am at Complutense University of Madrid, Faculty of Chemical Sciences and Department of Chemical and Materials Engineering. And here you can see where we are and a little bit of our nice and leafy campus, right? So I want to show you today, I want to try and show you today how my experience at Manchester have really shaped my scientific interests, my research activities, and even affected my teaching activities. So my scientific interests are revolving around two pillars, which is surface engineering for corrosion protection of light alloys, which were produced by conventional methods or new processing routes like semi-solid processing or additive manufacturing, and also surface engineering of composite materials. So all that is catering to two application areas, the transport on one side, corrosion and transport, and biomaterials, corrosion of biomaterials on the other hand. So how it all started. How did I end up in corrosion? Well, my background is electrochemical engineering. So I came in 2003 to show my work on zinc-nickel electroplating for steels and accelerated electrochemical screening of those coatings, to show it at Cathodic Protection Conference organized at UMIST by brilliant David Scantlebury. So he was kind enough to be interested in my work and accept my abstract. So when I came to UMIST, I met Peter Skeldon and George Thompson. And I've been given a tour around the laboratories. And then I realized how much I still have got to learn on materials characterization, on corrosion techniques, etc. So incidentally, I was so lucky that they had right then a burning position for PhD students. They had funding, and that position needed to be filled urgently. And I said, oh, please, can it be mine? And they said yes, and welcomed me to the mill and the light alloys group. And you can see here in the picture, some of the people are still here in the room. And it was a wonderful period for me, 6 years, first 3 years of a PhD, funded by the Overseas Student Scholarship, and then another 3 years of a postdoc. I was employed by the latest one, EPSRC project led by George Thompson. The topic of my, PhD and the postdoctoral position basically defined what I'm doing now. The topic was plasma electrolytic oxidation. So since it's very important, I'll tell you a little bit of what it is. And you have here a little video of PEO carried out under alternating currents. So what you see is that it's basically an anodizing process that happens at a very high voltages above the dielectric breakdown. And you can see little microdischarges coming on and off in phase with the frequency of the current. So the coating that you generate under these conditions have a set of a variety of unique properties, and corrosion resistance is just one of them. And the coatings are applicable to aluminum alloys, magnesium, titanium, zirconium alloys, and recent research shows that you even can do it on steel, on pure iron, on zinc, on copper. I can talk on and on, do not let me. So I have been really privileged during that time to participate and to contribute to things that were done for the first time at Manchester facilities, such as, and here I'm going to need a pointer, such as, for instance, we were the first ones to do the ultramicrotomy of quite a large sections of the PEO ceramic coating on titanium and do TM of it. So we showed where's the barrier layer, we showed that there's a mixture of crystalline and amorphous material, and that was done by ultramicrotomy. It was really hard, and then FIB came along and things got better, and we went down to even greater resolution and detail. So you can see it sparked quite a lot of interest from the scientific community. Then we were the ones who, for the first time, quantified the number of the microdischarges on PEO on titanium. We rented a really fast camera from the EPSRC facilities. They had an equipment pool for renting, maybe they still do, I don't know. Our resolution wasn't very good, but you can see how well that paper is still cited, and it incited a lot of interest and follow-up work from other colleagues who've done even greater stuff, but still that work seems to be still relevant and important. Since my work was on titanium, and titanium is a biomaterial, it was logical for us to look into how can we pack the coating with as many microelements, the nutrients that cells need, and then naturally we wanted to look at how the cells are going to interact with these new materials. And here, where I got training from Julie Goff, who is right now a professor of biomaterials here at the department, and I've learned with my own hands to do the in vitro cell work. That was hard as hell, but we've managed. And we found some exciting things. For instance, you can see here we've showed how the collagen network is growing three-dimensionally on these coatings. In regards to PEO of aluminium and magnesium, what we've done is, for the first time, we've used the oxygen isotopes to pinpoint the location of the new material growth. And that inspired us to use precursors such as conventional anodic films, which are really cheap to produce, in order to generate PEO coatings faster, and in such a way save the energy, reduce the energy consumption, and make this technology more affordable. And in terms of, for magnesium, we've been the first ones to quantify the microdischarges on a range of magnesium alloys, and we've shown at high resolution what the barrier layer of PEO coating on magnesium is like by TM. And that's really important because the barrier layer is responsible for the corrosion resistance of these coatings. So you can see how important that work is still considered by the scientific community. And we also were the first ones to show how the PEO coatings degrade on magnesium alloys. We've shown that actually the corrosion occurs under the coating, while the coating remains still quite well attached to the substrate. And that's important for corrosion protection of magnesium alloys. So when I left UK and moved to Spain, first as a research fellow at the Research Council, Spanish Research Council, and then as a Ramon y Cajal Research Fellow at the Complutense University, where eventually I've been promoted to a tenured position. So naturally, I brought all that experience with me and kept developing the anodizing and PEO process for the same two areas, biomaterials and transport. And I just want to highlight for you a few of our achievements in regards to making the PEO process cheaper and more energy efficient. We've looked at different sorts of precursors on a range of commercial aluminium alloys. And in terms of the biomaterials, we began thinking about the fact that what cells really do care about is not the corrosion current density. They care about the amount of cations released into the media by the substrate, but also by the coating. And over the years, we've been collaborating quite a lot with the University of Manchester. Most of that work was carried out through the efforts of Beatriz Mingo, who was earlier this morning, but she's not here right now. So what we've done is the development of new anodizing processes at low voltages. We've also looked at plasma electrolytic oxidation of dissimilar welds, which is really important in transport applications, where we know that in cars there is a combination of aluminium and magnesium, and they have to be welded and they need protection. We've looked at how some alloys obtained with new processing methods, such as semi-solid molding, how they corrode, and this was done thanks to the facilities at the University of Manchester, where you have this wonderful in situ ultramicrotomy built into the microscope. So we've got the opportunity to see all those intermetallics in 3D and where exactly the corrosion initiates. And we've also been looking on the ways to improve the corrosion resistance of PO coatings on magnesium, on aluminium, by sealing them with organic and inorganic sealants. And all that experience eventually crystallized in a very important work that was carried out under the frame of the European project. Hello, Peter, in collaboration with AkzoNobel. That was invaluable, their input. So we've actually achieved green solution for replacement of chromic acid anodizing in transport industry. We've developed a thin sulfuric acid anodizing. We showed that we incorporated cerium and showed how much cerium is there and where exactly it is. And as a full system, you can see that we evaluated the systems with different kinds of paints, and actually the inhibitor-loaded paints, chromium-free paints, in combination with our coating, you can see that they fare just as well as chromic acid anodizing painted with chromium-loaded paints. And we did the same for magnesium alloys. Here you are looking at a very thin ceramic coating, which is energy efficient because it's been obtained in a very short time. That's about 60 seconds. So in combination with the paint system, inhibitor-free paint system, you can see that it actually fares better than the chromic conversion coating. The only drawback is that it's, of course, more expensive because we obtain our coatings using currents and conversion coatings are free. But hey, green life doesn't come cheap. And I think we just need to adapt that philosophy that if we want to live a clean and healthy and sustainable life, it doesn't necessarily have to be cheap as dirt. So, yeah, and there you can see that this coating performs equally well, if not even better, than chromic conversion coating with chromate-loaded paint. And finally, in terms of the development of biomaterials, we are looking now at hybrid, hierarchical coatings for magnesium, for temporary implant applications. And we'll look how magnesium degrades when it contains a ceramic layer and a degradable polymer layer which is loaded with drugs. And the drugs, in that case, act as corrosion inhibitors. So they compensate for the lack of corrosion protection that cannot be afforded by the barrier layer of the PU coating. So we've actually shown that by loading the pharmaceutical agent, you can achieve up to 75% corrosion inhibition because the drug is being continuously released. So it's just down to screening of different pharmaceutical agents to determine which ones of them are corrosion inhibitors and which ones are corrosion accelerators. It's not up to us to decide which one to use because it's the doctor's call, but at least we can help to nudge them in the right direction. If there are two drugs that are absolutely equivalent, why not choose the one that is corrosion inhibitor? And I have ample opportunities to transmit all that experience in my teaching because our teaching load is really high. And you can get shaved off 20 or 40 hours if you are leading some research projects. So my normal teaching load is about 200 hours a year. Well, it used to be 240. And I participate in 4 master courses and 2 bachelor courses across the 4 different faculties of our university. And you can see that I highlighted here that I mainly teach materials for chemical industry, and that's steels and light alloys and all sorts of corrosion protection methods. And I'm also involved in the biomaterials courses when I talk about the biodeterioration of materials and how to control their degradation rate. So yeah, I keep sitting firmly on 2 chairs, transport applications and industrial applications and biomedical applications. And we do some teaching innovations projects as well in Spanish, but hey, they soon are coming in English. We are translating. We've developed a metallographic atlas, and we've developed a set of kitchen sink corrosion lab practices that was necessary during the COVID. But we are now using that material as a supplementary activity for a student to do at home on top of their regular practical work. And I hope, in conclusions, I hope I've managed to transmit to you that over the last 15 years since I left Manchester, there was a solid continuity of my activities that were started at Manchester, and that heritage has been carried through and reflected in nearly every activity that I have been involved since, in terms of research projects, in terms of teaching, and in terms of industrial partnerships and funding and collaborations with academia. And so thank you very much for that. I owe that to Corrosion Protection Center.